Without this third and final step, you run the risk of never achieving your breakthrough moment from your anxiety. So you're going to want to make sure you're going to stick around to the end. Plus, I have an extra special bonus for those naysayers that think maybe a breakthrough session doesn't really stick around forever. Welcome to episode 4 out of 5 of this mini part series on how to overcome your anxiety. Let's take a second and have a quick recap because we have come a long way, have we not? All the way back through to episode number 1, where what I really wanted to instill with you is the ability to break through that barrier that you might have of, can I really break free from my past traumas, my past events, my anxiety that's been holding me back? So episode 1 was absolutely breaking that myth for you and crushing it. So you know that you absolutely can, you just haven't yet. And then of course in episode 2, we started with the first step out of this three-step sequence on how to break through from your anxiety. And so the very first step was making sure that you understand the power of belief. Then we went on to step number 2 in the last episode where we spoke about the power of burning the bridges. And obviously here today, well done, congratulations, you've made it to the third and final step and potentially the most important step out of the whole process. So you're going to want to make sure you stick all the way to the very end. And like I said, I've got a special bonus at the end for those naysayers that are sticking around trying to find out, well, is a breakthrough really forever or is it just for a moment in time? And so step number 3 out of 3 on what you need to achieve to make sure that you break through or have your breakthrough moment or break free from your anxiety is to learn how to play full out. Now, before we get into that, obviously, I want to make sure that you hit the subscribe and the notification button because we're going to drop more of these videos on a weekly basis to make sure this community gets everything they need to make sure they can live the life that they've been really dreaming of. They've got the tools and resources to make sure they do that. Hi, I'm Jacob Berlanti and I'm your anxiety breakthrough coach. After living with trauma for over 14 years and done a whole lot of personal development and growth and gained some amazing tools and resources on how to manage the state that I was in and the side effects of what I had to go through, I finally stumbled across, after waving the white flag and thinking that it wasn't possible, I finally stumbled across some amazing set of tools and resources that were proven for more than 40 or 50 years that actually worked on me. And now I got really passionate and dedicated about learning those tools and resources. And for over the last decade, I've been very, very fortunate and humbled to be able to share that with my community and help some people along the way break free from their past traumas. Okay, so let's get into step 3 out of the 3, what you need to make sure that you've got the right tools and resources to crush your anxiety once and for all. And as I said earlier, step number 3 is about playing full out. Now, what does that mean? Playing full out means, imagine you've gone through step number 1 where you finally internalize that belief system. You're like, yes, I know I can break free. It just hasn't happened yet. Beautiful, you tick that box. Step number 2, you go out and burn those bridges, meaning that there is now no possibility of you ever stopping till you get the breakthrough. Because the breakthrough moment, as you know, I'm a big firm believer, is just a step in the process. Right now, it is the most important step for you because when you're living with that much anxiety and fear and you just feel like you're using so much energy just to get by, talking about 3-year dreams and 5-year dreams just seems like it's not even in your universe. Does that make sense? However, what I want you to understand is now that you've got step 1 and step number 2 down, and after this session, you're going to have number 3. You're going to have what you need to get your breakthrough. It is understanding that breakthrough is a stepping stone to really what's on the other side. And that is you living the life that you deserve to live. And even if you don't know what that means, that's also part of the journey. And that's 100% totally okay. Because like I said, you've been spending so much time and energy on just getting by. Does that make sense? So what we want to do is when we say we want to play full out within this step number 3 of this process is we want to make sure that as we're going out with that attitude and we're trying to find the very thing that's going to break through, not just make us feel better. Remember that in step 2, we talked about the differences of what we're telling our mind to go and search for. Once we've done our due diligence and we feel confident, we're like, right, I'm going to speak to this person or I'm going to do this program or whatever it might be, however this thing might be transition or delivered to you, you want to make sure that you're going with the attitude of, I'm going to come at it and just absolutely nail it. Does that make sense? For you, the competition is amongst yourself to say, I want to bring everything I possibly can, whatever the instructor guides me to, whatever I've been asked to perform, whatever the things I'm going to do. I'm not just going to like do it half-heartedly or I'm going to hold a little bit back. I'm going to play full. I'm going to sit at the front of the class. I'm going to put my hand up for everything. I'm going to get those, projects done straight off the bat. And I'm always going to try to do more than. Does that make sense? Like if you ever think about that person maybe you had in your class or maybe it was you, Definitely wasn't me. I wasn't definitely not an academic at school. But there was always those couple of kids that were always sitting at the front, always putting their hand up, always delivering the homework early, always not only just delivering what the teacher instructed within the parameters of the homework, but they would always go more. They would do covers and colors and extra quotes, and they would just find different ways to over deliver. Does that make sense? And they would always get like A++ or whatever it was that the teacher was giving them, right? We want to be those students now. Does that make sense? Because we want to come with a sense of excitement that this is the thing until it's not. Does that make sense? Because if we go into something with already some reservation of, well, I don't want to get my hopes up, or I don't want to come at this thing too hard because what if it's not? We're already telling ourselves to go, well, let's just play at 30 or 40%. Or maybe I'll bring 50 or 60% because this was a very strong referral, or I know someone that's done this, or whatever it might be, right? But you're still holding back. And at the time when you hold back might be the very time in that moment when your mind needed you to play full out to get through onto the other side of that breakthrough moment. Does that make sense? So we need to come at this thing with wholeheartedly, with a different level of attitude. Now, what happens then, Jacob? A lot of my clients say, what happens then if I do that and then I don't get the breakthrough? I said, it's okay. Remember what we said in step 1, the belief is that it is out there. Step number 2 is we burn the bridges, so we're always going to continue to go forward. And part of step number 2, I challenged you on the last one, was, do you believe out of everything you've ever tried up until this point that you've taken at least something away? Even if it wasn't brand new, just by hearing a message again, did it give you something that you can reflect upon and go, oh yeah, I haven't been doing that, or I could do that better, or actually right now, I probably need to do a little bit more of that than what I would normally do? My guess it's going to be yes. And if you haven't, I think if you looked back on those moments now, you could probably still take something away from them. So although didn't you achieve the full breakthrough that you wanted for whatever reason, right? You still can take something away super positive for it in that moment to help you. Now, every time that we step up to the plate and we say, hey, I'm going in for this, this is the moment, you're reinforcing within yourself the belief of step 1 and step 2. The power of belief that this can happen for me, just hasn't happened yet. And you're reinforcing step number 2, which is burning the bridges. You keep convincing yourself and showing yourself with actions rather than just logic, right, that I am 110% committed to this. When you do that, how long do you really think it's going to be before you come across the very thing that's going to get you to the other side? I don't think it's going to be too long personally. So I want you to think about then, well, what does that mean? Like, how do I come at this differently than maybe what I have at other times? Because I felt like I've been playing full out, but maybe now you're reflecting, you're thinking, I get what Jacob's saying. Maybe there were times where I didn't come out with the greatest amount of energy. Like I still turned up, I still took notes, I still did all the exercises they asked me, but maybe I just kind of was coming at it because I was tired, or I'd had a bad day, or maybe my anxiety was slightly higher than what it was in that moment. Does that make sense? Or maybe I didn't prep myself and I didn't use all the tools and the resources that I have today to get myself in the best state coming into that program, that session, that whatever it was for you. Maybe you can have that level of self-reflection. If you have, I think good on you, because that already is looking at yourself at that level of growth and maturity. You're taking accountability. Okay, having a breakthrough takes a lot of accountability, because you can have the thing right in front of you. And like we've said, if you don't come at it full on, if you don't believe, if you don't truly go in it, then it's just not going to work. I often use the analogy of like people that want to get super fit, or they want to maybe look a little bit more athletic, or whatever their dreams and aspirations are around their health and fitness, right? So they go to the best trainer and they pay whatever amount of money they need to get a personalized program, but then they only kind of like half follow the program. Right? And when the trainer's not watching, they skip some sets, or they drop the weight, or they don't do the amount of reps, right? Or they don't really write down all the things that they'd eaten over the day or the week, or whatever the requirements were. Do you know what I'm saying? So they don't take that level of accountability of, I've got the right trainer, I've got the right program. Like they are 100% tried and tested. Like they've got so many proven case studies and stories and testimonials that I know I'm with the right person. So then at what point do you need to step up and say, it's me. I'm not leaning in hard enough. Does that make sense? So that's why step 3 is so important, because if you've done step number 1 and you've got the belief, you've done step number 2 where you've said to yourself, I've burnt the bridges, I'm going to go on to the next. What you don't want to do, and that's why I say step number 3 is so critical, because if you've got step number 1 and 2, what can happen is you just keep buying more courses and programs or going to see more specialists, but you've always still got that thing, that resistance within you to allow yourself to have the breakthrough, because you leave a little bit of yourself on the shelf. And so unconsciously what you're saying is, I don't know if I'm really ready for the opportunity to break free, because to be ready for it means you've got to give everything at every opportunity you've got. And if you've said yes to this thing and you've done your research, due diligence, spoken to as many people as you possibly can, and you think, yep, I'm going to entrust this program, this person, this whatever it is, then that's you saying, I believe this is the one. You don't know if it is, but you don't know if it's not. Does that make sense? So you need to be able to give yourself the opportunity to say, well, if I'm signing up for this thing, this program, this person, whatever it might be, then I must be in a position to say, as much as I can tell with all the knowledge and research and everything that I've done, that this is the best opportunity I've got. Remembering, not just to feel a little bit better, but to break through. Imagine that, just sit on that for a second. You come across something, you feel so passionate and strong. You get that little bit of excitement, that little bit of nerves within you to say, what if? What if this was the one? Now, whether the program goes for a day, a week, or 2 months, or 3 months, or whatever it might be, imagine on the other side of that, what that might feel like. Totally broken through to the other side. Waking up, feeling no anxiety, feeling light, energetic, clear-headed, yeah? Feeling strong within your own body, feeling a sense of clarity maybe that you haven't felt for a long time. Maybe you can't even remember what it was like, but you're just like, I know I want that. That's what you're basically facing. That's the opportunity you've given yourself when you're saying yes to the next thing. So wouldn't it make sense in that time when you're saying yes to the thing that's going to make you break through to the other side to go, I'm all in, I'm doubling down. This is the thing. I'm 100% confident that this is the thing that's going to get me through the other side. And if it is, what might be the attitude that you might need to bring? Think about it. Have you ever seen a kid who gets super excited about a new sport or a new event or going to a kid's birthday party? Do they kind of go, I'll play, but like I'll just play like half-half? Are you serious? They're like all in, going hardcore. They turn up early. The place is shutting down the lights. They don't want to leave. Like they just want to play one more, right? So that level of excitement, there's curiosity, there's playfulness, there's commitment, there's drive, there's focus. These are the things that we need to lean into in the moment when you've said yes. So the next time you're thinking about and checking yourself to kind of go, one, is this the program that's just going to help me feel a little bit better? Which there's nothing wrong with, by the way. If you're finding that your anxiety is at a peak and what the tools and resources you have in your treasure chest while you're searching through the very thing that's going to get you to the other side, please go ahead and do that, right? It's very important that you find some things that can help you get to the point of getting out and about. However, once you're ready to find the thing, that breakthrough, then you've done your due diligence, you've done the research, you've really looked into it as much as you possibly can, and you believe that this is the one, right? That you're going to take this chance, then by all golly gosh, like go at it 110%. From the very first moment that you hand over a credit card or a payment plan or whatever it might be that's getting you that final commitment to say, I'm all in, then that's it. That's the moment where you're like, tell me where to start. Like, I want to go now. I want to play in. Tell me what's the minimum I need to do because I want to double down on that. Check yourself when you're thinking about it, talking about it, when you're interacting within that opportunity. Are you coming at it? Doesn't matter how tired you are. You've been tired for such a long time. Does that make sense? Like, this is the thing that's going to break free from everything that's been holding you back in the past, where you're going to finally see what's into the future, what you're truly capable of. Now, I know you've got the strength within you to do that. So it doesn't matter how tired you are and what you're going through. Life will continue to throw you challenges. But those challenges, you can absolutely just swat away like flies. Why do I know that? Because what you've had to live through to get through to this moment, nothing will ever challenge you like that again. So I know you've already built up the strength, the courage, and the resilience to get through whatever life wants to throw in your way now. They're just like the final steps, the final hurdles to challenge you. I could share some incredible stories of some clients that have like literally booked their break. We've done all the prep work beforehand. We're about to go into the breakthrough session, and the night before or even the morning of, they've had some super challenging, super really tough things happen to them. And they turn up and they say, hey, Jacob, look, I'm here, but I got to tell you, this is what's just taken place. And I'm like, you're incredible. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, you turned up. Like, you could have just texted me and said, hey, this thing's happened. Like, I'm out. And they're like, look, I was pretty close, but I don't even know how I even got here. Like, I'm in such a bit of a haze. And I'm like, what do you want to do? And they're like, do you think this is possible? I said, do you still think this is possible? And they just looked at me and they said, I don't know, but I know, sorry, I get a bit emotional, but they say, I know that I want this. I'm like, I've got you. Like, if you're here now with me, I already know that you're good to go. And so we managed to get through the process, and they have their breakthrough, they have their moment. And they're in absolute daze at the end of it because they're just like going through so many different emotions, and they're waiting for the integration and the process to take place. And I know they're all big words right now, but I just want you to know that you are much more stronger and capable than sometimes we give ourselves credit for. Okay? So the main message I wanted to get through in this one is to make sure that when you go ahead and you say, I found the thing, that I want you to really play full out. I want you to find that inner child within you to have that level of excitement, the curiosity, the playfulness, the commitment, the drive, that you know that you're going to give it your all. And I want you to see what happens on the other side of that. And so as we wrap up now that you have all the 3 steps, I truly hope that you feel a different sense of empowerment and clarity on what it takes to get your breakthrough. Now, I said to you at the start of this episode that we're going to really speak to those naysays that talk about like, well, what is a breakthrough and how long does it really last? Well, unfortunately, we've gone a little bit over time in this episode. So what you're going to do is click on episode number 5. This is the last episode in this mini series where I'm absolutely going to blow you away with exactly how long a breakthrough really lasts and what you can do with it. So click that button now.